Hey everyone, come on in, come on in, come on in. Do I have a lot to tell y'all? If you don't know who I am, my name is Elena, and welcome to the Equation Podcast. Now, you may be wondering, okay, Elena, what's going on? Well, we know that everyone has an equation to solve when it comes to marriages and relationships, right? It could be in the form of a new job, children, it could be heartbreak, it could be pain, it could be mental health or mental wellness. There's so many things that when we look at marriages and relationships that we come across, right? And so the question is, how do we face these equations to get the desired outcome? That's the question. That's something that I've also experienced myself. Like, how do I actually get the desired outcome, right? And so, what I came up with, what God and I, really what God came up with, is this podcast, providing you with Christian-based advice, practical tools, and open, honest, and transparent lived experiences to help you solve your equations in marriages and relationships. Now, speaking of open, honest, and transparency, I'm going to go ahead and create that space now because I want to set an example for what I'm asking you all in our community to do. So, I am going through divorce. Yeah, I'm going through divorce, and it's interesting because you'll see 2 episodes that I've already recorded where I'm still wearing my wedding ring, right? In the Equation podcast. And the reason why you'll see that is because God gave me this idea in marriage. I know I was facing my own equations in marriage, and I wanted that space, right? That space, that community where I can really understand how have people solved the equations that they're going through and to help me solve them as well. And so when I couldn't really find one, God told me, well, why don't you build it? And I started building it. And I think one of the biggest things that God showed me, when I was building it and I was thinking about, bringing my husband on here, and we would talk so much about marriage and what it means. And now that is no longer. What do I do? So what happens when what happens when your life circumstance changes, but the mission and vision that God gives you doesn't? What do you do? Do you say, you know what, I'm going to pause this? Do you say, I'm no longer going to do this? Like, what do you actually do about that? And this is something that I had asked God because I was very concerned. I was thinking, God, I'm talking about marriage and relationships, but I'm no longer married. I'm talking about things that I've been through, but now I no longer have that experience. I'm not qualified to do this. I'm not qualified to speak about this. Should I still do it? And God told me, He reminded me in 2 Corinthians 12:9 that my grace is sufficient for you, that my strength is made perfect in your weakness. And Paul goes on to say, that's why then I will boast in my infirmities. Like, I'll move forward in my weaknesses because I know where I am weak, that's where He is strong. And God also reminded me as well of many prophets in the Bible, one being Moses. And Moses went through the same thing, right? So he grew up in Egypt. He then went into the wilderness, and God then was calling him back to deliver his people in Egypt. And Moses said, God, I don't know what to say. Like, I can't speak the lingo anymore in Egypt. I can't speak in a way that they will be convinced to let your people go. Like, they won't be convinced. And God said, who made man's mouth? Is it not I? God literally was telling him, you don't have to worry about being qualified. You are qualified because I called you. It has nothing to do with your personal circumstances. Your life experiences and circumstances do not qualify you. Your willingness to move forward qualifies you. And that's what God was telling me. And I think I just want to add this point here for those of you who God has called you to something. And you're saying, God, I'm too young, or I don't have the words to say, or my life circumstances are not the same. Things have changed. And yes, God, I know I gave you my yes, but God, things have changed now. God is saying, Your yes has to be unconditional. Don't worry about being qualified. Don't worry about what you're facing. Go and do. And as you walk, I will bless you. So that's why I'm here. That's actually why I'm here. That's why I'm pushing forward in creating this space where God is telling me to move forward, despite what I may think, despite what other people may see. God is still telling me to move forward because somebody somewhere needs to hear the episodes, the topics, the things that we will speak about. Someone needs to hear it. And it will hopefully, by God's grace, save a kingdom-minded marriage and relationship somewhere. Now, when I was married, I faced a lot of equations. So there was, very difficult equations. There were smaller equations that I feel like the small ones weren't really being resolved. So they kind of compounded together and became bigger. And so, as I said before, I was looking for a space where I could learn, I can share, I can, connect with other people who are also looking to solve these equations. And so this is really that community mindedness, if that's even a word. That's what I want to build here. I want to build a community of people that are facing equations, but that want to solve them. Now, you may be asking, why the word equation, right? That's so, it reminds you of math class, and that's actually where I want our minds to go. So when we say the word problem, or we face a problem in a marriage or a relationship or any situation, problem is kind of like, I don't know about you, but for me, it becomes almost like a trigger word, right? So it makes the situation bigger than what it is, and it makes it seem that it's almost impossible to solve. But if you go back to math class, and now listen, I wasn't the best at math, but if you go back to math class and remember equations that were put on the board, you always had a teacher who would stand up in front of the class and give you tips and tricks and tools on how to solve that equation, no matter how difficult it was. What she would even do is she or he may even break down the equation into smaller bite-sized pieces so that you can solve those, which helps you then solve the bigger equation or the original equation. And so that's what I want to come across here with that message, that any equation is solvable. Any equation, no matter how big, no matter how difficult, it's solvable. And now if we go even further to the Bible, this world faced an equation, a very difficult equation. It was sin plus the world equals eternal death. And Jesus, from the beginning of the world, it said, from the beginning of the foundation of the world, already knew that he would come to save the world. And so when Jesus died on the cross, he gave an option now for eternal life. And so because Jesus solved the ultimate equation, which is sin plus death, sin plus the world equals eternal death, and Jesus came now and gave us the option of eternal life, that means that we can solve any equation. Nothing is impossible. And Jesus is the ultimate teacher. So just like his example is, we should follow suit. So this intro episode is all about setting the tone of what this podcast will be. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know. I don't even know what God has in store, but what I do know is he's telling me to move forward. And I ask that you come on this journey with me. So with that being said, I want us to create, as I said before, a community of equation solvers. So the best way you could do that is like this video, share this video with everyone, subscribe to the different channels on Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms, and join the growing community of equation solvers. Because it's time for us to start experiencing the blessing in marriage, the blessing in relationships, and doing it God's way. So please join me. I have so many things more in store. The podcast is just the first stage. There's so many things that I want to do. There's so many ideas that God has given me on how to grow this platform, not only to the podcast, but even having conferences and meetups and events around the equation, because I want us all to be able to participate and join in on this journey. Thanks, and please stay tuned. Thanks for watching another episode of The Equation. If you want to join our growing community of equation solvers, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the notification bell so you can be notified when new equations drop. If you found this topic interesting, we want to hear from you. Please share your views in the comments and share this video with others so they too can become equation solvers. And remember, with Christ, all equations are solvable.